Hello, everybody. I hope you can see me and you can hear me well. Welcome to the third event of our information briefing series, dedicated to introducing you the different work streams of UNOOSA's current activities. The first session of our brown bag lunch events 2 weeks ago started with the Disaster Risk Reduction and Emergency Response Program, or in short, our UN SPIDER program. In the second event last week, one of my colleagues, Marcus, introduced to you the updates from our Space for Women project. And today you will hear about the Space Law for New Space Actors project. And also just a quick heads up, next week, next Wednesday, we will deal with our space economy initiative. I would like to just remind you to please turn off your camera and your microphone in case you are not presenting, so we can enhance the performance of today's event. My name is Annik Kazaryan. I am also a member of the UNOOSA team, the Office of the Director team. And it is my pleasure to be the moderator today. As I mentioned, please turn off your camera and your microphone. And if you have any questions that comes to your mind, just please type it in the chat function in this MS Teams program. My colleagues would be happy to answer to your questions either within the chat, but I will also try to take as many questions possible and direct them to the speakers after their presentation in a short Q&A session. Please also note that this meeting is being recorded and it will be available shortly in our UNOOSA YouTube channel. We will post the link of the YouTube channel in the chat as well very shortly. And there you will see that you can also find the videos on the previous two briefing sessions as well. And now, without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the team who are presenting today. Nicholas Hedman, the Chief of the Committee Policy and Legal Affairs Section, or in short, the CPLA team, along with Yuki Newman from the CPLA team and Ian Freeman from the Office of the Director section. They are all here today to brief you exciting space. So I will hear now, and I would like to give the floor to the first Nicholas, if you are ready.
You, Annie. Yes, I'm ready, and I'm waiting for the presentation to be put on the screen. Thank you. Can you, yes, magnify it? Never mind, I think it's fine. So thank you indeed. It is my pleasure to introduce this project of the Office for Outer Space Affairs on space law for new space actors, together with my colleagues in the legal team and with Ian Freeman of the Office of the Director. Next slide, please. Is it possible to move the slide?
Hi, do you see it changing?
No.
Okay, wait. I might have a technical issue here then.
Okay, never mind. I think we go.
Okay, let me do it this way.
There we go. Excellent. Thank you. So here we go. Excellent. Now, this project was initiated in 2019. And we tried to do our best last year during the pandemic crisis, as we are all aware. The Space Law for New Space Actors project is really an achievement, a completely new way of doing capacity building for the Office for Outer Space Affairs. The project aims at large that to, in collaboration with requesting states, identify needs and deliver tailored advisory services in space law and policy. This is really the core essence of the way that we are proceeding with this project. Of course, there are also other concerns and objectives, such as raising global awareness on the fundamental principles of international space law, because those are important whenever a nation who is performing space activities is enacting a national regulatory framework. And of course, one of the core objectives is to support the universalization, adherence, and implementation of the key components of the normative framework. And we are talking here per definition about the United Nations treaties on outer space. Next slide, please. The target beneficiaries of this project is obviously at national level, governmental officials, legislators. We really try to target professionals that are involved or will be involved at the national level in developing national space policies or regulatory frameworks for national space activities. And that is very important to know. This is not a general capacity building initiative of the office. We have other capacity building efforts in the office ongoing since many years, like the series of space law and policy conferences, and also advocacy on registration and other matters. But this particular project is targeting governmental officials. Next slide, please. So the service we offer on this project is manifold, obviously. And as I said, we are tailoring the services to the needs and the objectives of the customer, of the government that is interested in getting those services from the office. Next slide, please. And I want here to just give you an understanding on what we did in 2020. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we managed to have a highly successful virtual technical legal advisory mission together with the government of Chile. It was held in October with over 90 participants. Also, regional component, there were participants from Latin America, but mainly national participants from all ranges of the space society of Chile, and that was highly successful. The next event we managed to conduct was in December, where we had an awareness-raising first step as a technical legal advisory mission for the purpose of the needs of African countries. We held it on the 7th of December, and as you can see, there were over 30 participants from 13 African countries. And the days after, the 8th to the 10th of December, we held our virtual regular space law conference together with the Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union. So these are two events that we completed last year, and my colleague Yukiko will now relate to some other activities that we have been doing already under the project, and then my other colleagues will continue. So thank you from my part.
Thank you, Nicholas. So I would like to go into, let's say, more details of the project. So in general, we plan to have the event tailored to the needs of the requesting country in more or less a 12-month period. So in stage 1, we do baseline analysis. We will conduct a research on the partner country, in particular on its current space activities, space policy, and involved authorities. In stage 2, we will develop together with partner country on a program for the on-site event tailored to the partner's country's national needs. And together with the partner country, we also identify the experts to the technical advisory mission from the globe to share their experience in drafting national space law and their practice in regulating space activities. And yes, depending on the country's needs, we can include other topics as well. So it's more that let us say is very tailor-made project. And in stage 3, we will ask the participants to complete the e-learning before we deliver the actual on-site technical advisory mission, so that we can kind of maximize the opportunity of having the actual on-site mission. The technical advisory mission itself will concentrate more on interactive discussion through mock case studies of a simulating country, rather than just listening to presentations. And after the on-site event at stage 4, there will be a follow-up, and we will conduct impact evaluation and also submit a report to the partner country with observations. So just to quickly inform you what we have developed to better implement some tools. We have developed, one of it is the questionnaires, and this is to understand the needs of the partner country and to better tailor-make the event, as well as to consider what could be the best mock case study for simulating country to reflect the situation of the partner country. We also have, and I'm very proud to announce that we have produced the first space law e-learning course for governmental officials who will be drafting national space law and policy. And we have developed course 1 and course 2 for now. And this year we plan to do course 3 and course 4. So there will be 4 courses in total. But for now we have developed until course 2 in English. And the French version of course 1 and 2, and also the Spanish version, will be coming out shortly. And we thank the government of Luxembourg and government of Chile for their generous support in supporting us to produce this e-learning course. Just to give a quick idea of what would be the content of the technical advisory mission or even the e-learning, we focus on the 7 key elements of national space law, namely scope of application, authorization, continuing supervision, registration, liability, safety, transfer of ownership. These are the 7 key elements which was mentioned through the working group on national legislation, and we would like to focus on this as a baseline. Now, I would like to pass on the floor to my colleague, Michael Newman.
Yes, thank you very much, Yuki. And yes, I'd just like to pick up a few of these ideas that have been mentioned before in this part of the presentation. As my colleague, as my Chief Nicholas Hedman mentioned, the normative framework, of course, is very important. So as part of this project, we encourage states to become parties to the 5 treaties that we have, the 5 United Nations treaties on outer space. The first and the primary being the Outer Space Treaty, then followed by the Rescue Agreement, the Liability Convention, the Registration Convention, and of course, if they would like, the Moon Agreement as well. These treaties have numerous features which are important to states to keep in mind in their responsibilities that they will incorporate into their national legislation, and that is the focus that we take in this project, is to help states recognize what those responsibilities are and how to handle those in their national jurisdictions for their purposes, for what they want to do. And so we also have a collection of these treaties in print form. It's also downloadable in all official languages of the United Nations. And you can see the link to that over there on the side. The treaty booklet is on the side, the link is at the bottom. And this is a invaluable resource. Not only does it have this treaty booklet have the treaties itself, but it has a number of principles and resolutions that are important for states in looking at how to go about their national space legislation, national space policy, and determining really what they want to do. As Yukiko mentioned, there are a number of, the scope of application of what states might want to do. Those things are all decisions that states make, and we look to help them in doing that. Okay, so next slide, please. In addition, we also encourage states to become member of states parties and states members of COPUS, the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. And you see here, these are 5 regional groups that demonstrate the wide breadth of membership that we have in the committee. It's important, we encourage states to become member states of COPUS, primarily because the Committee on the Peaceful Use of Outer Space is the primary area where states can come together. It's the prime intergovernmental forum for states to discuss and to work through the peaceful exploration and use of outer space and discuss their national activities and plans. And to come together, this is, of course, the legal subcommittee of the Committee on the Peaceful Use of Outer Space, was where all of the space treaties and principles and resolutions were all negotiated. So next slide, please. So this is an overall slide. We want to stress the importance of fostering responsible national space activities, and national space activities are defined in the Outer Space Treaty under Article 6 to include both the activities of private entities as well as governments. And with respect to private entities, states are under an obligation to authorize and provide continuing supervision of those activities. They are also responsible for those activities of private entities, which is a unique departure from other areas of international law. Space law has a few of these features, including an interesting take on liability, where states, as it was further elaborated in the Liability Convention, where states are liable, absolutely liable for damage caused for a space object on the surface of the Earth, for their space object. So what we want to do is stress the importance of these features of international space law so that states understand what those features are, that they are aware of the implications of these treaty provisions, so that in making national space legislation, they can control the risk that they are undertaking by such activities. And to and in undertaking that risk and undertaking those activities, there are ways that they can be good stewards of outer space, and for example, by incorporating space debris mitigation measures in the licensing regime, so that companies that are building satellites have a way to also mitigate space debris and potential collisions in outer space. So there are direct links between treaty provisions, the responsibilities of states, and how private actors in those states can contribute to the sustainable use of outer space. And with that, I think that is, those are my slides that I would like to present. So I would like to go ahead and pass this back over to, I believe, Yukiko, who will pick up a couple of more points about the Space Law Project here now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. So just to let you know, last but not least, our project is delivered through voluntarily contribution of donor countries such as Government of Luxembourg, Government of Chile, and Secure Foundation. And recently we have received Government of Belgium as one of the new donor countries. And as of today, we have more or less received requests from 26 member states to have this technical advisory mission delivered, and we would like to keep on delivering this service to more and more countries. So as the project is delivered and implemented purely based on voluntary contribution from member states, we hope to have more donors countries to who are willing to support our activities to maintain peaceful uses of outer space and long-term sustainability of outer space activities. Please do not hesitate to contact the following email address for further information. We'll be happy to get in touch with you. And also, you see in the slide the web page dedicated for this project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Yuki. I just want to take this opportunity to say a few words finally before we deal with questions and answers. You heard my colleague Yukiko mentioning the donors of the project, and I would like to take this opportunity to really thank our donors. Without the support, financial and substantive support from our donors here that you can see, this innovative project would not have been able to be realized. So I really want to thank our donors, and now we look forward to increase this project further. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, Yukiko, and Michael, for these very insightful and engaging presentations. And indeed, it is crucial, especially today, to foster responsible and sustainable national space activities. So now let's move to the Q&A session. So please, I would just like to encourage everybody to use the chat function if you have any question raised to the team. I do see one question, maybe to Nicholas first, as even though we know that you mentioned that you try to focus on governmental officials through this Space Staff for New Space Actors project, but perhaps if you could elaborate a little bit more on the connection between nation states implementing international space law instruments and norms and their influence on the other space actors like private space sector actors and universities, NGOs, and etc., etc. So if you would, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Annie. I see the question in the chat, and this is really a question that brings the whole scope to the crux of the matter. The Outer Space Treaty has a very central provision in its Article 6, which means that the state party bears international responsibility for national space activities, including by non-governmental entities, and that means private sector. So the state is under an obligation under the Outer Space Treaty to authorize and supervise space activities being conducted by their subjects under their jurisdiction. And that is a very central provision in the Outer Space Treaty. So it also linked obviously to liability. So let's say that a government is the launching state of a space object being placed in orbit, and it's operated by a private sector. The state is responsible for those activities, and if there should be damage caused by that space object, the launching state, in this particular context, the government, might be held liable. So it is a serious matter, and it has to be taken serious by all states that are performing space activities. Anything you wish to add, Yuki or Michael, to that?
No, nothing from my side. We just want to emphasize that, as Nicholas mentioned, because of Outer Space Treaty Article 6, we need governments to have set in national space law so that the private entities can also, in line with the international space law, work and use the space in a sustainable and responsible manner. Thank you.
Yes, I would just also like to echo that that response, and that is truly the key to global governance of outer space activities, especially with the growth of the private sector. This new space era that we find ourselves in it reinforces the call to states to look at what they really want to have in their jurisdiction and to set up a mode that they can allow for that they can foster private sector activities, but also do it in a responsible way, in an environmentally friendly way that that allows the use of space by all states, for all equal rights and equal use. So that is what I would just like to add to that. But a very good question, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. So I would read the next question that I can see in the chat, whether UNOOSA has any collaboration and this project with regional intergovernmental organizations to promote this project.
Yes, I would like Yukiko here to probably respond, but we are planning certain activities together with APSCO. Yuki, anything you want to share in this regard?
Yes, we are planning to have regional or let's say APSCO members with APSCO member states, some technical advisory mission, hopefully soon. And we are still in the discussion, but we are, and also we would like to, open our doors to discuss with more intergovernmental organizations to focus on a regional basis to do this project. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question, maybe a very practical one actually. So what is the procedure or how countries can approach you following their activities to be part of this project? Thank you.
Yukiko, you take this question.
Thank you. So it's a case-by-case basis, but it could be that the state government or permanent missions approach to us and just contacts our email addresses, and then we start our bilateral discussion. That is the best way to move forward, I believe. Thank you. And I see Alvaro's comment here, so it would be nice if you can give the floor to the government of Chile. Thank you. Alvaro, I think you mentioned something. Sorry.
Thank you so much. I don't know if I have the floor, but well, friends of UNOOSA, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very complete, very useful. I don't have actually a question, but I wanted to express that Chile's experience in this project, including the October 2020 conference and capacity building seminar, was really great. We received as an extremely positive feedback from the Chilean agencies and experts who participated. And they are, of course, very willing to continue learning from you, hopefully in a longer term relationship. And I would like to really encourage other countries to join this initiative because it's really useful. Chile is a country that is just beginning with the design of a strategy for developing its space capabilities, and having the support of UNOOSA in a tailor-made program is an experience that we could simply not have been created with our own national abilities. So friends of UNOOSA, thank you very much for on behalf of my country, and we really hope to continue working together in the coming years. Thank you so much.
Thank you indeed, Alvaro. Thank you for your support, and it was really our pleasure working with you, and we will continue, as we know. I see a comment in the chat. Does UNOOSA have a newsletter to learn in advance about next events? Yukiko, if you could just relate to how we post information on the development of the project?
So this project is basically delivered via bilateral cooperation between countries. So in that sense, this project will not have a public web page in general to do registration. Also, when it's regional, we would also communicate through the government. So it would be, let's say, it would be not, as it is not a public event, we would not have a registration open on the event, but once there's a project coming on, we periodically update our webpage to announce that there is an event going on. And I would say the participants would be nominated by their country. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Yukiko. And this is precisely what this is about. These are bilateral engagements, and the contact detail is there on the website to my colleague Yukiko Okumura. So any government, permanent mission being interested in this project should contact the office, and from there on we will take on a discussion on what to do next. So that is important to know. Thank you.
Thank you again for all. I'm just trying to look at the other questions. Maybe a theoretical one, if we can approach that a little bit, when they ask if there is no national space law or national space agency, is there any obligation for the private actors to request an authorization from the government authorities? That would be a real theoretical one. If anyone would like to address that question, perhaps.
Yes, I mean, I think, Michael, if you could take this question, but I would like to say that it actually doesn't matter if a state has a space agency or not. If a state is conducting space activities, and mark my words, it could be space activities through operating of a CubeSat by university or by private sector, that state is responsible for those space activities and might be held liable. So it's very important for the government to know what space activities are being conducted by subjects under their jurisdiction, whether or not they have a space agency. It's up to the state, in accordance with Article 6 of the Outer Space Treaty, to implement its rights and obligations under the treaty. That is now something that is under the prerogative of the state concerned. Michael, anything you want to relate in that sense?
Yes, thank you. That's exactly and well put, sir. I mean, this is one of the reasons why this space law project for new space actors is so important, because it really calls to states to recognize and understand what other actors within their jurisdiction may be doing or may have desires to do. Both they have two, I would say, core interests. The first is, say, to protect themselves. That's to control their own risk for exactly what Nicholas was saying, that they might be held liable for the activities of entities within their jurisdiction. And then the other side is, of course, more economic and forward-looking, is that possibly they want to promote space activities within their jurisdiction by their private sector, to encourage individuals and institutions to create companies, to build satellites, and all of these things. So there's it's not just the side of to be worried, say, about the potential liability. Of course, that is there, and they must control for that risk. But there's also this very beneficial aspect to space that we would like to help states in promoting that, if they desire that to do that in their jurisdiction. So this aspect of authorization and supervision, while states have that, and that's a treaty obligation, they certainly do not have an obligation to create a space agency or any kind of way to as a way to handle this as a formal matter, but of course they are encouraged to do so, and we encourage that setup. We encourage for states to look at what is most appropriate within their jurisdictions. What is the regulatory body that would be handling such authorizations, and who would be doing the inspections and carrying out supervision activities for their government? And these are, of course, decisions that countries must make based upon their setup, where they have resources that they can devote for these kinds of things. So in that sense, the understanding of what the responsibilities are is, of course, the first key step. And then the second is to say, well, what is our goal? We first want to protect from risk of liability on ourselves. We also want to promote economic activity within our jurisdiction. And national space legislation is the common way that states undertake those things. And through that legislation, they determine who will be their regulator, who will be the body that reviews licensing applications, and so forth. So thank you so much again. That is a great theoretical question, but it's a very practical one as well. Thank you again.
Thank you. And before giving the floor to Yukiko for some final words regarding the project, I'm going through the chat, and I see that there are questions that really goes into the depth of international space law and also into the depth of international global governance of outer space activities. And precisely for that reason, as we stated in this presentation, it is important for states that are performing space activities, and I'm not now addressing the major spacefaring nations, but emerging space nations, and also states that are using space assets in orbit, but not operating their own assets. It's important for those states to pay attention to the work of the legal subcommittee, of the scientific and technical subcommittee, and per definition by the overall Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. So if you are not members of the committee, please consider whether you are interested in becoming a member of COPUS. And if you are a member of COPUS, please pay attention to the regular sessions of our intergovernmental body. I see questions relating to space debris mitigation. I see a question relating to extraction of space resources. I see questions relating to peace and security in outer space. So you should consult our website where all documentation is available, and you will follow the way that our intergovernmental body is dealing with those, I would say, space law and policy matters. So that is what I wanted to say at this stage. And Yukiko, anything you want to say? Final words about the project?
You made a very nice wrap up, so there's not much for me to add, but as I am showing the last PowerPoint of my last slide of my PowerPoint, we are here, and if you can send us an email on UNOOSA-spacelaw@un.org. We're happy to start discussing with you for further steps. And if you're in general just wanting to know more about this project, I have put the webpage in the slide, so please visit our webpage, and you will find more information there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Michael, if you also would like to add something, perhaps? If not, that's okay, perfect. Thank you very much again from everyone. I'm going to call the time here, and I would just like to again encourage everyone who would like to participate in this wonderful Space Talk for New Space Actors project, do reach out to my colleagues who would be very happy to assist you. So thank you again from everyone for tuning in today and listening to this briefing on this very essential project. We will continue our information briefing series in the upcoming weeks. In fact, in the upcoming 2 Wednesdays next week, we will talk about UNOOSA's Space Economy Initiative. And on March 3rd, my colleagues will update you on the Space for Youth project of UNOOSA. Please also follow our social media channels and website where you can find information on all of our activities. That's about it from my side. Please also don't forget to fill out our evaluation form that my colleague just posted in the chat, which would very much help us to improve for the upcoming events of this information briefing series. We hope that you had indeed an informative lunch break in case you are in the Central European time zone, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day on behalf of the UNOOSA team. So thank you, goodbye.